Welcome to This Sustainable Life Untethered, the place where we explore mind, body and nature and the things that hold you back from enjoying them. I am your host and adventure partner, Alison, and I'm so excited to go and explore with you. Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today's episode, I am delighted to bring you a follow-up conversation with Louisa Hussey. Louisa, we met all the way back in March, so many months ago. And to remind you, she is an emotional freedom technique practitioner and mindset coach. And in this episode, we find out how she got on with her challenge, her sustainability challenge that she did. Little just trigger warning for you guys. This episode is so cute. Oh my God, after talking to Louisa, I felt all warm and fluffy and just full of the joys of spring. It's honestly delightful. So I really hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome back to Louisa for part 2 of our conversation. Thank you so much, Louisa, for coming back on the podcast. It's really great to have you back.
No, you're welcome. Thanks for having me back.
So last time we talked a lot about emotions. We talked about how they hold you back. We talked about tapping, the emotional freedom technique, and you gave us a wonderful tapping demonstration as well. So it was really good. And we also talked about walks with your daughter. And one of the things that myself and the This Sustainable Life podcast family like to do is to invite our guests to take on a challenge that is in line with their personal values and allows them to act on the environment, but in a way that is meaningful to them and in a way that is actually in line with what the environment means to them, rather than just do something that someone tells you to do, like, oh, stop using straws or plastic bags. And there's not that emotion and meaning there, you know, doing something that is deeply meaningful for you, because we think it's more fun and engaging, and then it encourages you to kind of act more. So you kindly took up the offer. And I remember our conversation and you made me smile so much with the stories of your daughter. But please, could you remind our listeners what it was that you agreed to do?
Yeah, it was to walk to nursery, which sounds like a really small, maybe average thing to do, but it's almost a mile. So it's actually quite a long way for little legs. And what we do on the walk, and actually it's really interesting to talk to you about it, because it has changed. Our routine is now slightly different as, I guess, life changes. But it's the walk to nursery. We walk through down a really beautiful path and then through a kind of a housing estate and then onto a big main road. So we have to walk past a park and we have to walk past lots of different things. And it was always a really sensory experience. We'd always talk about the textures of the plants that we walk past. And we'd talk about the smell of the trees and the flowers that we'd walk through. And obviously, for me, it was all about really being part of the colours and the whole sensory experience. And one of our most favourite parts of the walk is we walk down quite a big main road, which is really, really well maintained. And on the pavements are huge, big planters. I think you call them planters, which the residents look after. And they've won, Flowers in Bloom awards and also all that sort of stuff. And in the it's not just flowers, they always have a herb garden on one half of it. So they grow thyme and rosemary and mint, and I think, what was the other one? Sage. There's sage in there as well. And in one of the planters, the residents has left a little plastic bag with a pair of scissors saying, help yourself, but please use the scissors. And for me, I was just like, that is the most beautiful thing to share. Because these people, obviously, it takes them a lot of time and they really care for their planters, and to be able to share that with other people. And as I said, it's about a mile. To drive it would take me 3 minutes. And I decided that there's absolutely no excuse for getting in the car. It's not that far and we really enjoy the walk. Plus we get to chat. I say that she chats to me. I don't get a word in. I don't get a word in usually, and but it always fills me. You know that thing of it fills your cup. You know, to have little chats with her about whatever the heck is going on in her head, and believe me, it is absolute nonsense a lot of the time. But she really gets to explore her thought process with me on this walk. So I decided, you know, after my first chat with you, that we were just going to do that, and there was going to be no faffing about unless it was pouring down or it was snowing, and in which case she'd just be soaked. Her poor little legs would just be wet. So I'm very proud to admit we've been doing it even in this heat wave. And my gut instinct is, oh, we'll get in the car because it's cold. Look at the aircon now. But I always give her the choice. I always say, do you want to walk today, or would you like to go in the car? Usually I throw that in when she's having an absolute tantrum about turning the telly off or putting her shoes on. But she always says walk. She always says walk. So that has morphed now into, we now call it the hop, skip and a jump to nursery. So it's not just walking. And we outside of our back gate, so we can walk out of our back gate onto the path that leads us down to nursery. It's really beautiful. The residents look after it, and it can be quite overgrown just straight outside of our gate. So we have to get through the jungle first. So we always have to really discuss which plants are spiky and which ones are safe and which ones we can stand on and which ones we can't, and all that sort of stuff. And it's just the most gentle, and I don't know what the word is. I really don't like the word nourish, because it sounds like, and I just don't care for that word particularly, but that's what it does. It really fills us both up with a sense of belonging to each other and belonging to the path and belonging in our town. You know, it really feels like it's our little thing.
Sorry. Oh, that sounds absolutely so lovely. I'm just beaming. It sounds like it's just such, you mentioned so many things there, you know, like the beauty, the sensory experience, the kindness that you get from the residents sharing their what they've grown. And also it sounds like quite fun as well. You know, you're engaging with her, with nature, deciding how best to tackle it. And this, well, you might get a good old sing song along in the car if you were driving, maybe one song. One good song.
Well, that's it, isn't it? You know, it's not enough time we don't chat if we're in the car. Usually if we're in the car, it's because her behavior is not great, so I'm just going to bundle her in and off we go. But so it kind of is a slightly it's just not as pleasant, I guess. And what's happening now, she's older and she's stronger and she's bigger. She now wants to race. So once we're through the first jungle bit of getting actually onto the path out of the back gate, there's like maybe a stretch of, I don't know, maybe 100 meters, maybe not even that, 50 meters to a little mini bridge which goes over the tram tracks. And she always wants to hop, skip and jump to the bridge. Then we stamp really loudly over the bridge because it's like a metal bridge, so it echoes. And then from there, there's about another 50 meters to a brick wall, like where it comes into the housing estate. And she wants to race me. So, and this is normally at 7:30 in the morning or 7:45. And so I've not got my sports bra on at that time in the morning. So literally there's all these other dog walkers out and like people having a lovely time. And there's me, like literally holding on, hanging on to my boots as she races me to the brick wall. And it's always a fun joke because we stop and I'm like, oh, just wait, just look at that squirrel. Haha, tricked you. And then I get to run ahead of her and then she stops and she does the same. So it's like a really nice little routine. But yeah, so regardless of whether I want a run in the morning, I get one. You know, there's no excuse.
So lovely and so playful. Have you made anything with any of the herbs from the herb garden?
No, but she does ask me regularly what we're going to do with the sage, one singular sage leaf that we collect. And I'm always like, I actually have no idea what you do with sage. And I'm like, do you put it in stuffing? But then I got a bit lost on that one. But we do walk past blackberry bushes. So last year we did collect some before everybody else went out, and we made a blackcurrant cordial with it, blackberry cordial, sorry, because I was like, we don't have enough for a pie. We've got like 8 that I've carried with me all the way to nursery, so my hand is black and red, so I can't quite make a pie, but we could maybe make some cordial, so which is basically just melt it with a ton of sugar and some lemon juice, and she was thrilled with that. So but no, you're right, the herbs, we should get back on with that, really.
Oh, it just sounds so lovely. I can imagine everything that you're saying, like illustrated in like a beautiful children's book,
Yeah.
just like walks with my mum, and something that you think would be so mundane, just getting to a place. The main thing is actually her going to nursery, but actually the adventure happens when she steps out of the door. And
Yeah, and you're right, it is a little adventure for her, and she's becoming slightly more resistant to going to nursery because she knows school is coming and she's really excited about school. So quite often halfway around she'll decide she doesn't want to go any further, which is a bit tricky when you're smack bang in the middle of both. I'm like, well, we're not going home, and we can't stay here in the middle of the road. So I have to be constantly thinking of something else for us to do on the walk. So sometimes we do a bit of a colour hunt, like how many red cars can we see, or how many black doors are there on this street, which will kind of keep her going, but it takes her brain off actually having to be going on the walk, I guess. Mm-hmm. Or I just completely distract her with, well, what kind of cake will we get for your birthday? And cake is always a good chat. That could take a good 15 minutes detailing exactly what topping she wants and who's coming to the party. And her birthday's not till January. But
plan these things.
It's really crucial that we plan them.
And has your walk with your daughter, it's obviously been a lovely time for both of you, but has it affected anyone else, do you think, as part of your morning adventures, either directly or indirectly?
Well, we always see the same people. So we always see the same, and there's always a lady in a pink coat that we see coming towards us as we leave. She always says hello. I don't know who she is. I don't know where she lives, but we always say hi. We always count dogs. So we're like almost on first names terms with any dog that comes past us. And I do think it makes a difference to our neighbours because they all have children. So they can all hear us leaving in the morning, getting out of the back gate and all the rest of it. So I wonder if there is a bit of almost a sense of belonging, that they feel, oh, it's so lovely that everybody gets to experience this, and how grateful we are to have such a very well looked after area. And there was a big drama actually. Maybe this is not particularly on topic, but there's just past the bridge, it goes over the tram. The residents had built a big bamboo wall and cut sections out, and they called it tram spotting. So the children can look through little windows at the trams coming, which is cute. And there's a bench in front of it, a big picnic bench, and on the bench it says, where have you been on your walk? Who did you say hello to today? Like conversation points, I guess. Mm-hmm. And obviously some youths, I decided they were youths, I don't know who it was, had obviously had some sort of illegal party on the bench, and it was burned. Part of the bench had been burned, so I don't know what they'd been doing. I don't know what they'd been lighting, but the 2 middle planks on the bench were burned, big hole in them. So there was a big outrage. Big outrage.
Yeah, definitely neighborhood outrage.
Yeah, and I was spotted it. We were out at 7:30, and I was like, oh, look, somebody's burned the bench. And then I was like, oh, am I instilling some sort of outrage for her to feel? But then I was like, actually, it is really important that we look after stuff, and and that maybe the teenagers were bored, and maybe that's the thing you have to think about. How can you keep yourself busy and looking after other people's stuff, because it's not their bench. And anyway, it was a big uproar on the street, and then the next day they'd been replaced. So I don't know who looks after it, but how lovely it is to know that people care, to look after it after criminal damage.
Yeah, that is really lovely that people do. I mean, I was going to say something really negative there towards the council. I don't know if it would be the council, because I don't think they would have worked that quickly. But
it definitely was not the council.
But for someone to do that, and just, for the benefit of other people, like the
Yeah.
equivalence of leaving the scissors there. And maybe that was a practical thing because they thought, well, actually, I don't know anything about herbs, but if you pick off the herb with your fingers, then it damages the plant. So I know people are going to do it anyway. So here are the scissors.
Yeah.
But even so, just thinking about other people and working with it to make it more enjoyable and better for everyone.
Yeah, and and linking back to the idea of it's sustainable, like if nobody looks after the plants, then it'll just be a wasteland, and how it's a real part of I guess the heritage of the area, that this is what the path looks like, and there's poppies, and there's big signs out saying please don't trample on them, so we can all enjoy them. And for me that feels very it's just very kind, isn't it? It's a real sense of sharing their gifts, that they are doing the gardening, and I've got no green fingers to speak of, but to be able to be part of it is a real joy.
Oh, amazing. So do you think that you will continue? Obviously, you said that you're giving your daughter the choice as to whether she wants to, but do you think you will keep offering the choice?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it will be a real shame when we start school in September that the walk is literally 50 meters the other direction and we're at school. So we won't have that little morning. So I'll have to find another way to create it somehow, because it will be a real shame when we don't do it anymore, I think.
Yeah.
But
Do you have any ideas about what you might do instead? Or obviously you can ask her and do something that appeals to her.
yeah, I think, I don't know what we'll do, because it'll be a real tough job to get her to go for a walk if she doesn't have to actually end up anywhere, I think. But maybe we'll have to go on more stick hunts, or maybe go back, just for a revisit, and all. I don't know really. I'll have to have a think, and also see what the school do, because the school will use this path as well to get to the park. So maybe they've got some ideas, or maybe we should just volunteer to be part of the Poppy Path Brigade.
What is this? Poppy Path Brigade?
Yeah, well, I think there's a little gang, so they're like volunteer gardeners and volunteer, cleaner uppers. Maybe we'll have to join the committee.
Oh, that sounds so lovely. I hope you have a badge, Poppy Path Brigade, or a sash,
Oh,
sash and a badge.
I definitely need a sash. Yes.
And do you think that you will do anything else, either related to walking or sustainability more generally? Has it opened up any other kind of ideas or ways for you to connect more with nature? I know when we talked last time, you were talking about your values around that freedom and joy. So is there anything else that you might be thinking of trying?
Yeah, well, I was joking about joining the Poppy Path Brigade, but there is a gardening volunteering scheme that run in the park, and so they look after the park gardens and stuff. And I did spot on the way back from the walk this morning, they're looking for more volunteers, and I thought, ooh, they'll have. My reason I don't do much of it is I haven't got any equipment, and I have absolutely zero knowledge of what I should be doing in a garden. There's a plant. Well, is it a plant? Is it a weed? I don't know. So if you were to join us an organization where they say, here is the stuff, we have the wheelbarrow, we have the other, and I thought maybe that would be quite nice if you just did an hour maybe a week or something, just being part of something like that might be quite pleasant. They're all obviously about 80, but and there's no sashes, they're high-vis jackets, but I reckon I could get away with a bit of
you could add some sequins to it, make it sparkle into a bit of a design statement.
I reckon it's definitely a scope there.
Oh, amazing. That's been so lovely. I really enjoyed that. And you used the word nourish and fill your cup. I feel like that's what that little conversation gave me just then. So I hope that the listeners have similarly felt the same. Listening to you. Thank you, Louisa.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
And can you just remind, I know we didn't talk much about emotions or tapping, but if anybody wants to connect with you further, where's the best place to find you?
The best place to find me really is Instagram. I do most of my stuff on there. So I'm just Louisa Hussey on Instagram. I do have a Facebook group, which you're welcome to join. So it is linked through my Instagram bio as well. So you can find me on there. Let me know if you want to chat planting or gardening, herb snipping or tapping. I am available for chats at all time.
Thank you so much, Louisa. That's amazing.
You're welcome.
It was just so cute, wasn't it? Oh my God. Her little daughter sounds adorable. I don't particularly want children, but after talking to Louisa, I feel like, well, maybe it might be nice just to have a little being to make you re-engage with the wonder of the world. Um, although I'm sure there are lots of things that are also not so wondrous when you have children, but there we go. I'm not going to do a big long outro episode for this. I'm just going to say thank you so much for listening. If you wanted to connect with me on social media, I would love to hear your thoughts. Are you inspired to go walking in nature and take care of your surroundings? Then do let me know. I'm on Instagram at alison.untethered, Twitter at Ali Untethered, and Facebook at This Sustainable Life Untethered. And I'd love to hear from you. And I hope you have a lovely, wonderful, cute and fluffy day. And I'll speak to you next time.